All right, pleasant good night to everybody. Just we're going to begin at 10:10. So I just kind of started on here earlier than usual. We're going to begin at 10:10. So I just kind of started on here earlier. Don't worry, that's the stream coming off of everything. I'm gonna be at you all in a minute. It's 10:06 where I'm at. That's Atlantic Standard Time, by the way. Okay, so I'm pretty much done circulating. I guess we're going to start a little earlier than usual. I am Christ, I am disciple, aka Anson Phillip, and tonight we're going to talk about why we should persist with Restore the Snyderverse. And I know a lot of people, you know, this thing began a certain way and it kind of died down for various reasons. We may look at a little bit of the history of it, but for the most part, we're going to discuss why we should persist with that and why Warner Brother Pictures, well, not Warner Brother Pictures, but why the studio and guys like James Gunn and other people like that, why they want us not to use that. Okay. It's very important to understand. And I'm seeing different people with different approaches to how to approach the Snyderverse. There's one thing though that's not, y'all can kind of rule this out of the equation. I know some of y'all will still persist with it. You can do whatever you want. There's no leader for the Snyderverse movement. But I'll discuss that all a little bit later. First of all, let me say I am Christ, I am disciple. If you want to support this channel, you can support it via PayPal. It's in the description. It's also in the chat section if you're so interested. The other thing is, if you want to join on here as a guest, chop it up with me as a guest on here, feel free to do so. Again, I'm Christ, I am disciple. This is something I just do. Yes, I do it as a business, but I also do this mostly as somebody to contribute to the community. So it's not, I'm here to tell you guys, this is the way, and this is the right. This movement is its own organism, and it does however it wants to do things, it does things. But what I would say is what I'm going to suggest and what I add to the table, hopefully, is something that each individual who hears this video or sees this video considers deeply, because usually I try to contribute something that's worth the while when I talk to you guys. All right. Sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes I'm right. But on this occasion, that's what I want to do. All right. So if you want to join on here as a guest, you feel like chopping up something with me or saying something and then leaving, no problems. You can do so. Let me explain the pattern of this thing. It always goes through this pattern. I'll start off with a piece of scripture. Got to. I got to give the Most High His glory. And so we will go. And then after that, we will go into what it is that we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about being united. Why the hashtag's important and why we should continue with it. And something called the optics of division, which is a very useful tool for those who want to make you or convince you that you're divided as a fandom. Also, why I keep on stressing on Zack Snyder's Justice League in IMAX in November of this year, and why that is, generally speaking, for me at least, as far as I can see, the best possible way for this year to even get the Snyderverse restored or get it on the road back. I just think that that's a marvelous film. I've been watching it. I watched the film. I watched pieces of the film. It's a marvelous film. I can't tell you guys how marvelous it is. I think it's better than BVS for several different reasons, but we can go into that some other time. So that's basically what I'm going to be doing in this video. So if you guys want to contribute, you want to add other things, you want to talk in the chat, you want to chop it up with me, so be it. Let's begin. I'm going to tell you. So y'all want to know, I got a lot of data and a lot of information. So y'all going to know bit by bit what it is and what the focus is on. But first, let's get into the scripture. I don't want to keep you guys back any more than you need to be kept back tonight, because it's pretty late. It's already 11 minutes past 10. Let's get into it. All right, scripture comes from the scripture comes from Psalm 78. I'm not going to read the whole psalm. I'm just going to read a little piece of it because I really wanted to read the whole psalm. That was the whole plan, to read the entire psalm. I'm going to dial it back. So Psalm 78 is a psalm of Asaph. Okay, you guys can go research that, but this is what it is. Oh, my people, listen to my teaching. Open your ears to what I am saying. For I will speak to you in a parable, that is a story that is a metaphor for something. I will teach you hidden lessons from our past. Stories we have heard and know. Stories our ancestors handed down to us. We will not hide these truths from our children, but will tell the next generation about the glorious deeds of the Lord. We will tell of his power and of the mighty miracles he did. That's it. We've been talking about a lot of things. And one of the things that we talk about is the mythos. When we talk about the superhero genre, Zack Snyder approaches from the mythos of the superhero genre. But you know, we also have mythos or mythical greats in sport. In fact, if you really think about, I know this is kind of sort of coming off of the last video I did with you guys, the last stream. If you think about it, when you think of the gods, the Greek gods, they had something called, well, actually the Olympics comes off of the Greek mythology that has to do with Mount Olympus and the competitions that happened on Mount Olympus. So the Olympics, you see how sport is very closely knit to not just Greek mythology, but also to superheroes, because superheroes, the first superhero came out of Greek mythology, came out of Jewish mythos, okay, out of Christian mythos. This is where it all comes from. So you must understand why there's a passion, and people are very much disciples, almost very religious about sports, right? Religion, sports, superheroes, or comic books, they all have a common sort of approach to them, and a common also response to them. People are very passionate about sports, and they're sporting heroes, which when you think about it, they're superheroes. They're great heroes, that is. And it's the same thing with the great gods, the great Greek gods. How people looked at, say, Hercules. How people looked at how they looked at the god, anyway, of the god of speed. I forgot what his name is. Help me out here. Refresh my memory. Who's the god of speed? You know, when you think about these mythos and these larger than life stories, they're very religious. The myths are very miraculous. They're always augmented. They're always greater, larger than life. And when you think of athletes, and some of the athletes in sport, when you think of names like Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali, you think of Usain Bolt. They are legendary names. They're names of legend, and myths come out of that. And these myths are grounded in truth. And very similarly, when you look at biblical teachings and the Bible, again, legendary characters and legendary acts, and these myths come out of it, and it's passed down from generation to generation. Pretty much what the scripture I just read, which is that you teach your children, you tell your children's children, they tell their children's children about these legendary people, or these legendary, and this is how mythos begins, right? And that's how people start to worship people, or they start to worship situations or institutions, etc. Okay, so this is where, kind of like, to me, Zack Snyder kind of pulls his stuff from. Because if you think about it, the modern superhero, the literal modern superhero, is easily, hands down, the super athlete. Now, I know in the definition of a superhero, one of the definitions is someone with superpowers, someone who has abilities out of the natural. But we have athletes that transcend that and break records, and they seem to do things out of the natural. That's the why we say sometimes the superhero in today's world is the super athlete, because we can see a physical manifestation of somebody transcend and go beyond what we thought the limits were. And what I forgot what his name is, but Shyamalan Knight did with Unbreakable, with Glass, with Split, was he showed that there's no limits, and that if a human being is determined to do something, they can go beyond it and literally embody those special abilities of a superhero. So I want you to understand where I'm coming from. If you look even at the Matrix, I don't know if you guys ever watched the Animatrix. In the Animatrix, an athlete transcends. He runs 100 meters in 8.32 seconds. He transcended, and he woke up from out of the Matrix, and they had to put him down. But then he had these special abilities where he started to hover above the ground and stuff like that. All right. Now, what I just read from scripture is religious in the sense that it reminds you about God and his miraculous things he's done, and to pass it on to your kids so the kids would know, and they would know the truth. The thing about mythos is it's very true. It's very true. The problem with it is sometimes that is in mythos, some things may be augmented more than they really are because someone is telling the story. Take, for instance, 300. How this guy told the story of 300 and how you saw it through his eyes was very augmented at times, right? Very augmented. But he's talking and he's narrating about how he saw that story. You see, when you think about because oral traditions can magnify or minimize certain things, and you have to understand when you're passing it down through oral tradition, while you will keep a certain regimen, and again, because of worship and devotion, there's a certain regiment to how things are passed down orally or otherwise. Take, for instance, this book that I use, which is the Bible. It's taken still from oral tradition, and therefore it's going to be through all the many different translations and so on, and maybe augmented in some areas, maybe even misinterpreted in some areas, and in other areas it may be minimized. You see what I'm saying? Something that's very important is minimized. That's why I always try to explain to people that when you look, it's just like somebody talking to you. You can listen to exactly what the person is saying to the letter, or you can listen to that person's heart. What are they really trying to translate to you? And you can listen to their heart. What do I mean by listen to their heart? I mean, you're listening attentively and you're really looking for what is the intention of what the person is saying, and if they're sincere behind it, and also what it is that they really want or what they really need. Because sometimes communication is not so much about what I can give out, but it's actually what I can get in. I'm communicating to actually get something that I at times don't have. So when you listen to somebody converse, if you've had a spouse, if you have kids, you know what I'm talking about, because sometimes the spouse really wants something, but they come to you and they behave in no matter. They may even supply you with the thing they want, meaning they may help you with something, but it's really help they want. Or your kids may come and do something for you, but it's really for you to do something for them, and they really have that need. So you have to understand that people sometimes, when they're communicating, they're not just communicating for communication's sake. Okay? They are communicating for a two-way street. Somebody's going to supply them what it is that they need, because it's something they need. No two people ever meet each other for no reason, right? It's always a transaction that has to take place. And if there's no transaction to take place, those two people will more than likely may say hi or whatever, but they won't interface with each other, because we all interface with each other based on forget about that. We all interface with each other based on something I can supply to you and something you can supply to me. That's why we interface. We may not know it consciously, but that's why we do it. That's why anybody who's listening to me right now, you're listening to me because there's something you want from me, and there's something I can supply to you. And by you interfacing with me, you're going to give me something I want from you. That's just the way it goes, right? So anyway, I'm saying all of this to say that passing down things, the communication, the translation is in spirit, it's in essence, it's in the heart of the person. So this person is translating to you from their heart what they were taught or what they witnessed. And you have to take the truth in it is what is in their heart. What is the truth in it? It's what is in their heart, right? That's the truth in it, right? Somebody sincerely is giving you some sort of counsel or advice. It's really from their heart that you will take it and apply it. And how we can know this is through their actions. So if they have somebody who have gone through certain things and experiences in their lives, and now they're telling you about these experiences so that you wouldn't have to go through that, they're telling you from the heart, sort of like, and they're hoping that you would rise up and not go down that road. They're giving you from experience. If they're not giving you from experience, you can tell the difference between somebody who's just telling you something, because they won't be so focused on telling you. Their body language and everything won't be that focused. It wouldn't be too important to them. It'll be a byword sort of thing. You see what I'm saying? So you can tell some people who went through certain situations, good or bad, maybe they became millionaires, and they can tell you about the road to that and pitfalls and the ups and downs. And you can tell of somebody who's never been a billionaire or never been a millionaire or never did certain things because of the way how they flippantly deal with it. Right? That's why I always try to explain to people, it don't make sense to try to teach people anything if you never did it yourself. You need to go through it yourself. And then you can tell them. So if you want to teach somebody about business, you should have a business. You can't just be somebody teaching theoretically business in a university or something, and you ain't done business. That don't make no sense. So you have to walk the road to be able, and similarly, someone who has experienced something is going to tell you it in a way in which it's going to be distorted in different ways if you listen to them via word, because some things are going to be distorted because it's their perception of it. You got to understand that, right? But the truth of it, the heart of the matter, the punchline, the take-home message, the thing you need to receive into your spirit is going to be true. You see? And that is what mythos is about. Mythos, at the end of the day, is to emphasize on qualities, is to emphasize on attributes that can be passed on from one person to the other. Wisdom, knowledge nuggets. For example, evil does not sleep, it waits. That's a Chris Terrio line. You can tell, very smart, well written. This is Hippolytus. She's been around for thousands and thousands of years, right? Makes sense, right? What's her name? Wonder Woman has been around for 8,000 years. She's been in the land of man for 5,000 years, right? So she's going to have wise sayings and stuff like that, right? But Hippolyta, she real wise. She been there. She's seen it all. So you would expect her to be able to say something that's true. Evil don't ever sleep. It don't ever sleep, right? It's always looking for an opportunity. Even when you think about it. Think about if you were debating with somebody, you arguing with them, you debating, they getting whooped, right? Just one little mistake you made, and they will use that against you. That one little mistake, they use that against you. Even though they getting whooped all the time, they would use that because evil don't go by the same rules as good. Evil don't go by the same rules as good. Evil just want, oh, you right? Oh yeah, I just waiting for you to be wrong, so I can lay it on you. And I'm gonna use that all the time. See what I'm saying? That's the way our evil works. Anyway, I use that scripture just to say that the passing down, and this is we used to have these traditions with our families. We used to have this tradition when the family was a unit. The family has been broken up and divided, and we're going to go into all of that too. But suffice it to say that passing down oral traditions and passing down knowledge from generation to generation, whether it's on your family history, whether it's on tendencies and things that have happened in your family, these are very important things to inform you, not just to shape you, but to inform you of what kind of dynamic you came from. Similarly, when it comes to comic book movies, when it comes to sport, when it comes to whatever, you should study the history of the thing. I'm trying to say something here, so it's going to come. You need to study the history of the thing so that what we call the forefathers and the ancestors and stuff, because once you understand where it came from, now you can understand how you fit into it and how you should approach it. That's why I always believe that Zack Snyder has a very firm understanding of what superheroes are, because he went from before superheroes to the ancestors of the superheroes, what was called the gods. Then he went from that to what was in Mesopotamia. You see, what you have to understand is all of this over the course of time passed down different kinds of ways. It's passing down. It's the same information, but it's passing down. You know, you like to talk about Joseph, forgot what his name is, but whatever. He likes to talk about that. He likes to say it's the same story being passed down. It's somewhat the same story because it's a hero's journey story, but it's more than that in the sense of this. The knowledge that's being passed down from generation to generation is the knowledge based on different aspects or different people in the story of the hero's journey, depending on which hero you're talking about, that you're tracking. For instance, in superhero movies, you may be focused on Batman and Batman's journey as a hero or a superhero. You may be focused on the Flash, like the Flash movie, where his journey, so we're seeing it from his lens, even though we may have Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman all in there, right? Zack Snyder was focused on Superman's journey, right? First, he constructed Superman and Man of Steel, then he deconstructed it in BVS, then he constructed it in Justice League, in Justice League 3. He's focused on Superman. Superman is the focus there, right? If you have a Wonder Woman movie, we had two Wonder Woman movies. The focus was Wonder Woman. We're going to have two Aquaman movies. The focus is Aquaman, etc., etc., etc. Makes sense, right? So similarly in life, if I'm looking at my life, then the focus is from my life. Doesn't mean that it's just my life alone that's going on here. No, I may have family members. I may have people I'm associated with in business, sports, whatever. And you can see from their lens, right? The point behind it is the hero's journey, while it is a major portion of it's not just a hero's journey, but it is whoever the hero is telling their story. It's about people telling their story. Zach got that. It's not about looking from our perspective, you know, you could do that at the heroes, but we're seeing things from their perspective, which changes everything because a hero doesn't think of themselves as a hero, right? Which hero thinks of themselves as a hero? Oh, I'm a hero. No, you're full of yourself. You're not humble, right? So looking at your life through the lens of Superman, for example, Superman's not thinking he's Superman. He doesn't even call himself Superman, right? Superman doesn't call himself, he responds to, hey, Superman, but he doesn't call himself Superman because when he's seeing it, he's seeing himself as Clark Kent, aka Kal-El, mostly Clark Kent, because that's what he's called on Earth. And he knows he has these extra abilities, but he's got to live every day, right? He's still got to live his life, right? When he's not saving people. So you have to understand that while his life is unique, to him it's not unique, right? To him it's normal. You get what I'm saying? So the lens of a hero and how the hero's journey happens and how it goes with the hero is kind of like, if you put, that's why I said it's relatable, because if you put yourself in the position of that person, which you can't, but if you could, you would see it feels very much normal as how you conduct your life, because you don't think of yourself as a hero. You don't think of yourself as somebody making a tremendous impact all over the world. You don't think of yourself like that, right? Nobody does. No one does. No matter what, even though they may be doing enormous things, helping a lot, for them, that's normal. They're just living a normal life. That's just how it is, right? So what am I saying? The lens through which you're seeing is what we get to step into and watch this person's life and innerly, how they process it innerly. That's the key. Because why? If we find out that a superhero is no different than us, with the same challenges we face, just another person, then that is tremendously relatable, because now we can find out why they're superheroes, why they still continue to do what they do, why they continue to persist with helping other people, encouraging other people. You know, yes, they do the other things, they use the special abilities when they have to, but more importantly, how they are able to deal with difficult people, how they're able to deal with people who have malintent, how they're able to deal with people who don't realize, they're kind of ignorant of what's happening. They're being manipulated or whatever, and they're ignorant of situations, and even how they may be dealing with people who are on the verge of killing them, for example, in BVS, right? So it just gives you a more personal perspective. I like that. Okay. And so that's why I use the scripture here, because it's something that we usually get caught up in the legend of a person, and we don't realize they're a person, whether it's an athlete, whether it's a prominent person. Let's take, for instance, David Zaslav. We don't really know his personal life. We don't know how this guy really is working hard to do what he wants to do, but we label him the villain, or we label him this because of certain decisions he's taken. Get what I'm saying? We don't put ourselves in his position. And all I'm saying is that the scripture here is saying, and if you were to read the whole thing, you'd realize, for all this legendary stuff and all the miracles that happened, people still was bad-mouthing the Lord. It was bad-mouthing God, disrespecting him and stuff, because his perspective. There's still a disconnection. A lot of times we want to have a hero out there that we can that can mentor us, we can follow and fashion ourselves and put this person up on a pedestal. But you know what? They make one mistake. What did I say? Evil. What? It doesn't sleep. It waits, right? They make one mistake. That's it. We destroy them. We drill them. And we've seen it not only in BVS when people were unfairly drilling Batman, unfairly drilling Superman, right, in that movie, but we also see it in real life where people unfairly look at our leaders, like, for instance, the president of the United States, Mr. Biden, or Donald Trump, or whoever. They just make one. All they got to do is slip up once. I know Donald Trump slipped up a lot, but I'm just saying, all they got to do is slip up once, and people are ready to hammer them. That's how we treat Barack Obama. If you look at the similarities, he was like Superman, right? He was a big superstar president, right? And they had him with big O on his chest. They even did a comic book on him. And the thing about it is, he got a lot of hate too, especially when he wasn't living up to what people expected him to live up to. Point being, man, they bashed that dude to kingdom come. Even to this day, people are still bashing him, right? And my point is that, there's Christopher Nolan says, you're the hero until one day you turn to be the villain or whatever. Listen, truth be told, that's very realistic. The truth is that a lot of our heroes and superheroes, we malign. But why do we do it? Why do we constantly do it? It's because of something called evil. Evil, somebody whispers a rumor, and then all of a sudden everybody takes that rumor and goes with it because they're not satisfied with what the hero or superhero is doing for them. Or they have a picture in their mind of what this hero or superhero is supposed to do for them, and they don't believe that they're doing it in a timely fashion, or they don't believe that this hero or superhero is doing it at all. Right? Is what it is. So I took all this time to say that because what I want to talk about next is this, about being united about how we move. This movement, Release the Snyder Cut movement, and now Restore the Snyderverse movement, is special. It's very special. I'm so appreciated that I'm a part of it. And one of the things we have to do as a movement is we can't afford to trash other people. We can reason with other people, right? For instance, I can reason with somebody and say, sell Snyderverse to Netflix. I don't think that's going to work now, because as it is, Warner Brothers Discovery has enough money to continue forward with DC with the major IPs. They're not going to now sacrifice those major IPs to establish that on some other platform. In fact, when I was listening to Abdi and DeLuca speaking in an interview on Variety, they were trying to encourage Christopher Nolan to come back to Warner Brothers. In fact, giving him certain what is it, royalties he was supposed to get on one of the films, Tenet. He was supposed to get some royalties and stuff back from Tenet, and it was never reimbursed. And they're trying to heal that wound. And these two people are old school, like they from the, they kind of from the school. They've actually brought out so many great movies, both of them. When DeLuca was at, where was he? I forgot what company. I can always look it up. But these people really are. If you look at their, they love bringing out original IPs. They love producing original IPs. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna look it up so I can find that article so I can talk to you guys about that. But in addition, I'm just saying these guys, Abdi and Luca, treated Zack Snyder so well. They love treating creatives well. They love doing that. They're both Italian people. They are old school. They like the old filmmakers. They not corporate. They actually love films. They love movies. So they're really, that's why we got Full Circle. It's because they really tried to make the arrangement with Zack Snyder. Now, this year, it might be a little too soon for them to work with Zack Snyder, but you never know, because the movie just needs to go into theaters. That's all it needs to do. But we'll talk about that some other time. So, point is, these people are solid, right? How did I get there? We're talking about not being divided. What I mean by that is we need to be united in terms of what we're doing. And that means we need to be a little bit more coordinated. Now, I remember Silla Abdul was trying to do something with, I think it was Snyder Queen and those kinds of people. They were talking about sell Snyder versus Netflix. Now, what I'm trying to say is, I understand what they're saying. I respectfully think that that's not something that's going to work now, because Abdi and DeLuca are just turning this company around. When it comes to Warner Brothers Pictures, they doing it right now. Barbie was good. They are now on, I think, their 6th hit. They got the Meg 2 that worked out, Creed 3. They distributed air internationally, so they got some money off of that for the distribution. They also did Mummies. That's 4. They also did Evil Dead Rise. Okay, that's 5. And what's the other one? Barbie. That's 6, right? So they had 6 hits this year. They're also going to have Wonka at the end of the year. Christmas Day, Wonka is going to come out, and that's probably going to do well. The only thing that's not doing well for them right now is DC, but they got enough money to shell out to DC, whether the films flop or not. It will affect their bottom end, but they just need cash, and they got liquid cash for that. The only thing is the strike that's kind of bothering them right now and bugging them down. But again, the strike is necessary. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like what I was saying before, concerning. But I can tell you right now, Abdi and DeLuca actually, I said this before, I'm going to say it again. I actually have the evidence. I put it up on Twitter. I need to go to Twitter. That's where I need to go. That they were responsible actually for Superman coming back, Henry Cavill coming back. And they're also responsible for Zack Snyder getting Full Circle. In fact, Zack Snyder actually thanked them. Let me see if I can find that somewhere. Zack Snyder actually thanked them for he actually thanked them for hold on one second. He actually thanked them for allowing him to do Full Circle. Let me show you. Not only allowing him, but they actually funded part of it. Isn't that kind of crazy? So people did donations, and they also helped to fund that. Okay, let me see if I can find this here somewhere. So I just want to say that these guys are really cool people. Abdi and DeLuca, and they're making things happen with the company. They're also dealing with Turner. Actually, today on Turner TNT, Uh, the Batfleck movie. Happy Batman Day to everybody. Um, the Dark Knight trilogy's been playing whole day. They had the Dark Knight trilogy marathon today, so you guys can check that out. Also, the Dark Knight trilogy is playing in select cinemas in the United States of America. If you're within the area of the cinemas, if you haven't seen it, you should go see it, or go catch at least a piece of it if you can. It's kind of late tonight, so it's probably not a thing right there. All right, so let me see here. I have a lot of Batfleck stuff on this Twitter. I want to find Alex Ross did a Batman thing as well. What's this? Okay. Okay. All right. So let me get this article. So the article's on Variety, and short version of it is that Zack Snyder was allowed to do it with Abdi and DeLuca as well as. So that's why I'm kind of really pushing for Zack Snyder Justice League in IMAX, because I realize they had a good relationship, Zack and Abdi and DeLuca. They hit off pretty well, and Abdi and DeLuca, they love creatives. They really do. Okay, let me see if I can find this. I am somewhat sleepy, but I'm going to keep on pushing. Yeah. So why should we not be divided? So I said before, you need to respect people and whatever they want to pursue. Sometimes it's pointless and they don't realize it. And I think it's pointless right now to talk about any other company, whether it's Universal, whether it's Netflix. I just don't think it's going to work out anymore, because Warner Bros. Was starving for money. They were starving for cash for sure. And they were selling off stuff. But obviously, you're not going to sell up your most prominent IP. Leroy Khan, what's up? Hello to you. WBD, I'm not listening to Screw James Gunn. All right, my brother. So the most expensive IPs are Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, etc. Right? And so they're not gonna sell that off. And they're not gonna sell off the Snyderverse either. Why? Because they got money now to continue. So if they're gonna continue with James Gunn, they're gonna continue with James Gunn. That's just what it is. Whether it costs money or not, they're gonna generate money elsewhere. What was happening was they weren't generating the money that they needed to generate, and that was leading to some problems. Okay, so here is the article. It's from Variety, June 14th, 2023. Says, can Warner Brothers restore its movie glory? Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi want Christopher Nolan back. Will prioritize theatrical releases and take more big screens. So they're not just going to put things on Max. They're looking at putting movies into cinema, which is great. That Zack Snyder's Justice League needs to go into cinema. It needs to go into IMAX. So this is great. This was Zack Snyder back in early this year, about 6 months ago. Zack Snyder credits WB's Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi for his screening event and says, who knows what that means for the future? Let me say that again. Zack Snyder credits WB's Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi for his screening event and says, who knows what that means for the future? And here's a little bit more of it. Zack Snyder says, this event would not have happened at all if it wasn't for Pam and Mike. So just to say that those guys really were the ones that said, yes, we want to do it. It wasn't James Gunn. Okay? I just think that it's important to be said. So that's all. And who knows? Who knows what that means, in the future? But I just mean that, these are the people that were responsible and all that. But in the meantime, I'm very much in the Rebel Moon business, which, by the way, we should be pushing right now as well. You can push 2 movies at once. Rebel Moon, Zack Snyder Justice League. I'm pushing both. You know what I mean? I'm even doing, sometimes I'm doing, Restore the Snyderverse with hashtag with make the haircut or make the Batman backflip movie. But I'm really focused on Zack Snyder's Justice because that's coming next. I hope November the 17th, if we can get that to happen. Now it's again the time frame and everything is, again, could be rushed, but it depends on if Abdi and DeLuca are hearing us. I personally think that these are reasonable people. These are good people. These are people who actually enjoy cinema. Now, some people were saying that, James Gunn, Abdi and DeLuca endorsed James Gunn and said, he really lives the characters or whatever. Thing about it is, if James Gunn ain't making no money, if he's not making any money on any movie whatsoever, all the changes he's doing, they're going to have to let him go. It's just what it is. Okay? It's just what it is. It don't make no business sense. It don't matter how much he lives the characters. And there was something else that Abdi and DeLuca said. So the first thing I listened to, and I have more of the article, but I want to say this. For reference, Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi were appointed in summer of 2022 as chief executives of WB's movie division. The Hollywood Trades reported that it was they who approved Henry Cavill's cameo in Black Adam and also started development on a Superman sequel starring Henry Cavill. However, on November 1st, control over DC Films and Television was given over to Peter Safran and James Gunn as a separate division from the main WB Movies division of the company. Safran and Gunn immediately canceled all plans to have Cavill play Superman again. So what I'm trying to say to you is these two people in Warner Brothers are the gems of Warner Brothers, okay? And it's another thing that they said, and I'm going to quote Abdi. So this is DeLuca saying, I think James has such a vision for these characters. He lives and breathes them, DeLuca said. Now, David Zaslav was around in the area as well. When it comes to what kinds of projects excite them, the pair shied away from what Abdi calls executive-led development, where junior film executives and hungry writers want to do well and follow instructions. She concludes, you end up with these scripts that don't have a controlling filmmaker's vision at the center. She understands you shouldn't tamper with films. I'm loving this, right? Further, in the article, which I don't have right now, I'm just kind of doing little segments of it from off of Twitter. But in the article, they went on to say this, and this is what kind of got my mind running. They said that they were responsible for all these original IPs, and this is what they really want to do, push a lot of original IPs out there. And they're excited about seeing directors' visions come to life. See, that kind of thought process is why they even greenlit Full Circle. And I believe very strongly it's the same, and they want Christopher Nolan back. So why wouldn't they want Zack Snyder back? You see what I'm saying? They want the talent not to leave WB. They want the IPs not to leave WB. They want the IPs to come to WB. That's their intention. They're trying to get back Christopher Nolan. They saw how valuable he was at Universal. They're going to realize that Zack Snyder is very valuable because he's killing it at Netflix right now, right? These are guys they want back. They don't want these guys gone. They want WB to be the place, the joint, right? Now, having said that, that's their intention. Whether that'll happen or not is another story. But the point is, that's what they want to do. So this is what I'm saying to people. I'm not trying to divide a fandom. Absolutely not. And whatever you want to hashtag, you're free to hashtag. I'm just saying that I don't think it makes sense at this point in time to try to go outside of the company or to get the company to do the opposite of what it's intending to do. The company is going to do this. It's going to try and court in talent back into the company and treat that talent respectfully for a change. All right. Under Abdi and DeLuca, I think that's what they're going to do. Todd Phillips is very comfortable under them, which is good. Now, the problem is not that, obviously. It's DC. DC is the problem because what we see with James Gunn and what's happening with James Wan, DC is the part that's the problem, right? There, outside of DC, we got good things happening. Inside of DC, we got crap happening, right? However, Todd Phillips is not dealing with the DCEU, so he doesn't have to worry about it, or DCU, whatever you call it. So Todd Phillips is having a great relationship with Abdi and DeLuca, and he's calling Warner Brothers the best place to have original ideas and to be creative and so on. So he's enjoying himself. When Abdi and DeLuca were there, we for a minute were having a much better time than we're having right now with James Gunn, right? Which reminds me of this. So I want to try and explain this to people. When the Aquaman trailer came, was it a good trailer? I thought it was decent. I thought it was all right. I'm not going to hammer it for everything. I mean, I saw people pointed out certain things to me and so on. I thought it was all right. But what what Peter Safran said, and in addition to that, what the trailer showed me didn't order well for me when I heard what the movie was like. So the movie's going to have even more jokes than the first movie. So even though the trailer tried to have a serious tone, and then when you break down that trailer, oh my God, you know, it looks appealing at first glance, but the second glance is not, it's not good at all. It's not good at all. And, you know, I might really agree with the executives on this one. It looks like it's going to be trash. It looks like it's going to be trash. They're still going. They're not trying to, you would think they would learn from their mistakes, but no, they're going hard into their jokes. And this seems to be something that James Wan endorses. So it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to go see the movie, go see it. But me, I'm not watching that. I'm sorry. The second Aquaman movie, I'm not watching. I haven't even seen fully the first Aquaman movie, far less for the second one. I'm not watching that. I'm sorry. I'm just not watching that. Right? That's me. You don't have to not watch it, right? When I say don't be divided, this is what I mean. Now, if somebody, say, is doing sell Snyderverse to Netflix, okay, and you don't believe that, but it has restored the Snyderverse in it, what do you do? If what they're saying is good and productive, but they say sales, you could still retweet that, even though you don't agree with it. Maybe you tweet above what your hashtag is, or what you think should be. Or you can even speak to them and say, I don't know if that makes sense now to say sell Snyderverse to Netflix, but I do like your point. I think your point is great. You can say that because we need to encourage one another. Regardless of different people have different approaches to things, we need to encourage one another. In other words, we shouldn't be fighting with one another over something. One guy, he jumped at my throat on Twitter for absolutely nothing. All I was saying was the Aquaman film, you know, I think that these directors were done dirty. Apparently not James Wan. I guess James Wan really liked to do these comedy things. I knew he did some animated thing on HBO Max and they had to pull it. It was so terrible, cringy. And what they did to Aquaman, I just don't get it. Why James Wan would want to make fun of Aquaman? Because that's basically what he's doing. The first movie you made fun with him. I mean, Aquaman in Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'm not talking about the Whedon version now. Zack Snyder's Justice League was thoughtful. He was asking the tough questions. Remember when he confronted Cyborg? You know, when he was thinking about, you know, how Cyborg was going through a hard time. You know, this guy, you know, has a heart and everything. And I just don't get that. The Aquaman we get in right now is the Joss Whedon version of Aquaman. I'm like, what is up with this? Like, I would thought James Wan would have, you know, try to, you know, kind of balance it off a little bit. Nope. They say it's going to be funnier. Fun. Nah, bro. That checked me out right there. Don't matter what the trailer do. That checked me out right there. And I think it checks out a lot of people. Now, there's some people who still hanging in there on, you know, Aquaman stuff from the Snyderverse, whatever. But listen, man, I'm sorry, man. I can't rock with that. I'm sorry. I'm not one of those people who could just go in the cinema. I spend my hard-earned money to leave the cinema feeling either worse than I was or no how. Just like, okay, I laughed and that was it. I can't do that. I just can't do it. That's just not me. That's not how I am. You know what I mean? No fault of man. If you could do that, great for you. Not me. I'm just not that person. Even if it's funny, it at least has to make me think about stuff, you know? So that's just me. Now, so what we need to do is sort of encourage one another. Now, if you don't agree with what somebody else is doing, and therefore you wouldn't do that, you just overlook it. You may talk to them once and then you just overlook it and keep it moving, right? Why this is important is because we all want the Snyderverse restored. That's one thing. So we have commonality right there. If somebody's trying to vilify you, block them. That's it. Don't engage. Don't engage with people who are being negative. I mean, I sometimes answer them and then I block them. That's what you got to do. Why? Because you're wasting time engaging with people who they just trying to get clout or something, you know, or they're trying to push some agenda. We're not on that. If you with us, you with us. If you're not with us, no problem. You know what I mean? But you're trying to be not divided. All right. Why that's important is because that's how they're trying. That's what the attempt by people who are followers of James Gunn or admirers of James Gunn, or people who are executives with burner accounts in Warner Brothers, or people who are paid to play. That's what they're trying to use against us, because they know we're vast. A significant portion of DC fans are also Snyder fans. One guy rolled up to me and said he was a big Snyder fan. It's the director guy or whatever. And he said how he found that the clothing of Aquaman, you know, in Zack Snyder's Justice League looked more ancient, looked medieval, he said. And then we went on to explain, one other guy went on to explain to him that actually Zack played the character more straight, and if James Wan had played it more straight with the action scenes, it would really have been a better movie. He agreed with that. So I go on and I cite him on that on Twitter, and I cite him on it, and I say, you know, fans are slowly coming, different people in the audience are slowly coming to realize that Zack Snyder's Snyderverse was superior to anything before. And he turns around, he says, hey, you know, he lashes out at me, telling me how he's been a Snyder fan for a long time, you know, being a Zack Snyder fan, and he could like Zack Snyder stuff and other stuff. And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything, bro? Just calm yourself down, you know, because, you know, I'm just citing you and what you said. And I showed him what he said. And he told me to touch grass. And I was like, what? I'm like, so I answered him. I said, I'll touch grass right after you do. Chill, bro. You know, and then he went on, you know, this, you guys, because I have the Restore the Snyderverse hashtag behind my name. You Snyder fans, you know, you give Snyder fans a bad name. And he started going on. I'm like, is this guy from TPZ? Is this a TPZ dude? You know what I mean? Dude just be acting weird. So I blocked him. And what I'm trying to tell you is, like, some people out here, they not on Zack Snyder. They're trying to, they see somebody there, they think I'm getting clout or something on there. I'm getting a lot of views or a lot of likes, and they don't like that. And there are people who watch this video, watch me on this video, just to try to find something to attack me on. And that's just how people are, okay? But at the end of the day, I'll tell you this. You can't afford to engage all those people. You ain't gonna do nothing. So you have to keep it rolling. You either block them or you don't engage them. You just forget about them and move on, right? Something that Damian Anton Vincent said I agree with is that don't pay detractors too much attention. Don't make them the center where they get a lot of attention. It fuels them to be more of a detractor and to be more of a distractor as well. Stay focused on what you're doing. I didn't agree with his methodology, which is he was saying we need to focus on rebel mood and Not on anything DC right now. Just focus on Rebel Moon. Um, and I was like, nah, I'm talking about DC because I believe there's a possibility that one, we could get actually a film into cinemas this year, and two, that I want to talk about DC because I'm a DC fan. Why would I stop talking about DC? You know, so it doesn't change anything. It's not like films are going to suddenly, oh, Warner Brothers is going to do great, and all of a sudden DC Films is going to do well because I'm talking about it. No, it doesn't have anything to do with that. People watch films if it fits their taste. People watch films if they are compelled that the film is good and they want to go see it. That's it. So it doesn't really make a difference there. And I still can talk about and focus on Rebel Moon. So I disagreed with Damien, but that doesn't mean that me and Damien don't talk and all that. No, absolutely not. And that's what I like about like about the community. We need to continue using Restore the Snyderverse. I don't believe in stopping it. Then what it does is it allows the people who say, you know, to say, yeah, look, they can't restore the Snyderverse no more. They ain't talking about it no more. And they like, we shut them down. You know, no, you didn't shut down nothing. I told people I'm a Spartan. I'm not stopping because I'm not stopping. There's not going to be a moment where I stop using that hashtag. There's not going to be a moment where I stop pressing forward for the Snyderverse. And I know that the pressure on Warner Brothers, not necessarily Warner Brothers Pictures, but DC and James Gunn, they under pressure every time we say that. Why would I ease up the pressure to give them a break? Hell no. What David was saying, well, you're giving them attention. I'm saying, no, like the detractors, you don't have to give the detractors a bunch of attention. If you want to, you can. You know what I'm saying? But what you need to do is you need to keep using that hashtag. All right. That's what we started. That's what the movement started. That's not just what the movement started, but the GA took it up. I ain't stopping that hashtag for nothing, you know. And the situation in DC is not good. So why would I stop using the hashtag? I'm telling you, the hashtag's the alternative to get DC going. Well, DC's not going anywhere. It's dead right now. So why would I stop using the hashtag? Now, if DC was up and popping and was doing something now, okay, I'll stop using the hashtag then, because it makes no sense. But DC's not up and popping. It's not doing anything, right? 3 films in, and Gunn's leadership, and nothing's come off the ground. And he tried. He literally changed up films and stuff. He tried. You know, Peter Safran, Shazam. Peter Safran brought in, James Gunn people to fill in the end of Shazam and change up a couple of things on Shazam as well. You had the Flash movie. We know the ending of the Flash movie was changed. I think the beginning was changed as well. I heard James Gunn kind of music in the beginning. Aquaman will be changed up a bit. That's what James Wan acknowledged via press. So Blue Beetle, I don't know about Blue Beetle too much. I don't know what was going on with that. Larry got information from trade showing this, right? So it's important to use the hashtag and continue to use it and bombard. Keep going. Don't stop. Be the Energizer Bunny. Don't ever give up. You know, keep using the hashtag. That's the fundamental of why we keep on going. Restore the Snyderverse. It don't matter what they say. They could say the Snyderverse is dying, it's dead, it's what. First of all, the Snyderverse had been, it popped back up with Zack Snyder Justice League. That's about it, right? And we are just saying to Warner Brothers Discovery, we're saying stop with the comedy, man. We don't want that. We don't want this for our heroes. This is not what we want, you know. And we've been saying this now since 2020. That's when the flop started. They haven't stopped, right? Continuous set of stream of flops for the DCU. Now they're saying, well, the DCU's coming to an end with James Gunn, and we're going to start with something else. Hey, you can start with whatever you want. Based on what James Gunn is doing, it's going to flop steam same way. In fact, James Gunn hasn't done a movie in DC that has done anything, right? So I personally think that they need to fire James Gunn. They need to fire Jeff Johns. They need Peter Safran could continue to be a producer. That had nothing to do with it. But he needs to be fired as DC head. That combination ain't working. It's just not working. Now you could say, well, three movies is too premature. Gunn ain't got a movie done. Well, better premature than later on paying for it. That's all I'm saying. They need to course correct back to the Snyderverse or something like it. Whatever you do, make sure it's a serious tone so people can be interested. People are willing to almost eat up anything right now. They ate up Matt Reeves' The Batman. That wasn't me personally. I didn't think it was all that, right? Was it a quality movie? Yeah, but what did it bring to the table? Not much. Okay. So, but Reeves is doing his thing, and he's got his little Penguin stuff going on, and he's going to have a sequel. So he's got his stuff going on. Good for him. I prefer Ben Affleck's Batman over him any day, any time of the week. You know, I don't want to trash Robert Pattinson's Batman. I don't want to do it, so I'm not going to do it. But I'll tell you this, in terms of action scenes, ain't nobody right now that could top what Ben Affleck has done. Ben Affleck and Richard Citrone. Nobody. Where Batman swoop down, pick up that guy in LexCorp. Swoof. Come on, man. Ain't nobody doing that. Nobody. When he did the warehouse scene, nobody. Right? And that's not all. The Batmobile when he's going to get the kryptonite, nobody even reaches that level of action. Then we got Zack Snyder's Justice League. We saw Batman taking on parademons. Man, it was big badass. He took the little thing that was walking up the wall, the Nightcrawler. You know what I mean? He was in his Batmobile, you know, destroying parademons left, right, and center. Came out the Batmobile, you know, ejected out the Batmobile, jumped out the thing, rolled across. Started taking on parademons. Come on, man. He looks badass. Ain't nobody ever done that. In fact, there ain't no Batman that took on parademons. In fact, there ain't no Batman that took on in live action superheroes. That's the best Batman ever. I mean, come on. But, you know, people just got the hate in their heart. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. So, if y'all are Snyder fans and y'all are big on restoring the Snyderverse, then say it. Be vocal. Just like how the strike ain't budget, we not supposed to budge either. Okay? No matter what. All right? Keep the message going. Keep the hashtag going. So it's important to keep on using the hashtag. Now, here's the strategy. The strategy is what's called optics of division. That is the people who want this movement to break up and be destroyed. And we got people, you know, within the movement trying to get it destroyed as well. I'm going to say this. A lot of times, the people trying to cause the division or make it look like they're causing some division, they're not even Snyder fans or DC fans. They're not even DC fans. Some of these people are paid to play. Some of these people are Marvel fans. Some of these people are executives. All right? That's the first thing. They make it look like they got a lot of them there because there's a lot of burner accounts. If you go look at the people who are starting to argue with you, you'll realize that their accounts are open a month before, you know, or a year before, like in November of 2022. A lot of these people, man, they got burner accounts. Some of these people have long-standing burner accounts. So they have multiple accounts. So you got to understand then, it's an illusion that there's division in DC. Because these people try to muddy the water. They try to say things. The problem with it is when you know what you know, it's easy to argue with them. And it's easy to make them contradict what they're saying. You know what I mean? So anyway, but you don't want to waste too much time on them. And they try to come down in bunches and stuff. And then they have people who are actual Snyder fans who start to buy into the illusion. And so they're going with these guys, not realizing, oh, shucks, it's an illusion. So don't buy into the optics of division. Most of DC, they want the Snyderverse. They always did. That's why they don't show up in the cinema. It's not because they want to boycott something. You know, I see some people saying boycott Warner Brothers, boycott DC. You don't need to say that. You don't need to say it. Ain't nothing to boycott. There ain't nothing interesting going on in DC. The people are afraid to say fire James Gunn and Peter Safran. That's okay. You don't have to, but just don't turn around and try to call people toxic for saying fire James Gunn, fire Peter Safran. Don't call people toxic for saying boycott WBD. You can't boycott WBD because the Warner Brother Pictures side of it is going to be making money. They're going to be making money. People just know what they're doing. They're giving the people what they want, and the people lapping it up. So DC's just not giving the people what they want, and that's just what it is. And the quicker the people in authority realize that, I know David Zaslav's the guy kind of working tightly with Gunn and they, and he's kind of endorsed Gunn and they, but Abdi and DeLuca need to talk to David Zaslav and say, hey, what you looking for? You waiting for Gunn to put out Superman Legacy before you fire him? You need to fire this dude. You got to start putting some pressure on David Zaslav. Start talking to the guy. Because what Gunn is doing, I saw Kite Man. That don't look good at all. You know, Peacemaker was, you know, he was, you know, Peacemaker be doing all kind of crazy stuff on the television series, right? And Kite Man looking like the same kind of thing. The Harley Quinn movie was kind of cool because Harley Quinn's, you know, a little crazy and stuff, but Kite Man, oh, come on, man. Man, right now DC be doing some whack stuff that nobody really interested in. Certain people are interested in, but they're not the majority of people, you know. And I know most of the mainstream people or the mainstream DC fans, they're not even studying what I'm talking about right now. They like don't care until, you know, some hype started happening, and then they'll jump on board. But the average person who come and watch DC and all that, they're not interested in this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So don't get confused by the optics of division. They trying to make it look like we're divided, and then the trade started printing out DC fans are divided, and you guys start echoing that sentiment. We ain't divided. We all know what we want. Here's one or two people. Check out my boy channel, KO. KO know what we. KO been watching every single movie, by the way, and KO knows what he wants. All right. Look at Tyron Magnus. Tyron Magnus is a very popular channel out here. Tyron Magnus knows what he wants. Tyron Magnus be saying James Gunn better come correct with Superman Legacy. He keep on saying it over and over. KO say, this is what you want. For KO. For KO is not no big Snyder fan like that. He's not, but this is just what it is. The DC fans now can see crystal clear in front of their face. There's only people like Guntz and those kinds of people and executives and those kinds of people. Because in the company of Warner Brothers, even though I think it's changing, I think they're going to pivot. But in the company of Warner Brothers, there's a lot of execs that still support what James Gunn is doing, even though it is not bearing a single result. There's no, I don't think there's any metrics to show that he's doing something good, you know, that's appealing to the larger community to make money for Warner Brothers Pictures. So I don't know, man. It is what it is. But yeah, don't get into the optics of division. It's just a small amount of people. And these people who usually disagree with you, even the people for the upcoming Aquaman movie, I know since the trailer came, it seems as though there's a divide. Some people want to give it a chance. They're going to support James Gunn. I'm telling y'all right now, that's a whack movie. Y'all gonna get disappointed. Y'all go in there disappointed. I'm sorry, I'm just saying it. Zack Snyder's Justice League in IMAX. Why this year? So this is my spiel on why I think this should happen. I'm not saying it will happen this year. It may not. But it is the only, I don't understand. Like, think about what I'm saying now. The best Batman, those of you may have different tastes, but the best Batman ever, who has had the most viewings ever, is Ben Affleck, in my opinion, right? Just looking at the action scenes, just looking at how he conducts himself, just looking at his story arc, best Batman, hands down, in my opinion. Why hasn't he gotten an individual movie? Why isn't he not getting a Batman movie? Every other Batman's got a Batman movie except for this Batman. This makes no sense. Okay. Zack Snyder's Justice League, universally accepted by critics and audience as fantastic movie. Okay, early this year, Abdi and DeLuca allowed it to see full circle. Then they're coming back in October of this year, and they're putting out the whole trilogy set, right? Why would they do that? So you're doing those two things, and you still won't put this movie into cinemas that deserves to be in cinemas and IMAX. It was made for IMAX. That makes no sense. You get what I'm saying? And I don't care about James Gunn. I don't care about David Zaslav's affinity to James Gunn. This movie deserves to be in cinemas. No, sorry. Let me correct that. This movie deserves to be in IMAX. And November month, instead of having Dune in IMAX, there's no Warner Brothers picture in IMAX in the month of November because Dune has been moved because of the strike. We don't know how long the strike's going to be. It's indefinite. Just like how we don't know how long Restore the Snyderverse will be. It's indefinite. But you know I ain't backing down, and you know the strikers are not going to back down this time. They're not going to back down, and I'm not going to back down, right? And a lot of us are not going to back down, right? So at the end of the day, you're going to have a situation where nobody's going to go into the cinema to see anything of yours. Maybe they'll go see Joker. Maybe they'll go see Batman 2. But they ain't going to watch no DCEU or DCU or whatever you want to call it movie. They're not going to do it. They're just not going to do it. So why don't you put, first of all, why haven't you not made a Ben Affleck Batman movie? Why? Don't tell me Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck wants to make a Batman movie. That's why he's holding out. With Joe Manganiello. And we know Batgirl's going to be in it. Okay? And we know Alfred's going to die. We know that. So we know these things. We still want it. I've seen Justice League a gazillion times. I still want to see it in IMAX. And guess what? I'm not alone. I am not alone. And I'm not broken either. AFSP, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. This is Suicide Prevention Month. I just want to say once again, this is a way to, I know they did it in the Flash. They talked about American Foundation, but it was in a joke form. This is not a joke, ladies and gentlemen. We don't do jokes out here. You know what I'm saying? We don't make a fun of things like suicide. So I love how Zack Snyder did it. And that wasn't, it was knit into the movie. It was Cyborg's story about overcoming depression, which is big. You know what I mean? So I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear Flash. Y'all just want to make jokes. Y'all don't want to connect with people. And when something doesn't make sense, you put a joke there. I know how it is with Marvel. They couldn't explain certain things, or they couldn't go deeper into stuff with their pathos, so then they went in a joke. I get it. I get what they do. But we're not watching what we would call that thing. We're not on a theme park ride, okay? We want real cinema. We want real cinema, period. That's the best I can put it. And Warner Brothers and Abdi and DeLuca, they want real cinema too. They want the best cinema, the best cinema directors and stuff to come to their company. So if you want that, Abdi and DeLuca, bring back Zack Snyder for Zack Snyder's Justice League. He'll, just at least put his movie in there if you want to bring him back in there into the fold. And he still do things at Netflix, but you still do, DC stuff. You gotta be able to. I know they want to give James Gunn a chance still to fuck up. Sorry about the F-bomb, but he gonna mess up. He does. This dude only did one thing. He only directed one set of successful movies. That is Guardians of the Galaxy. That's it. And it was under Kevin Feige. Okay? This dude has written some stuff. All right? He never wrote a Watchmen, but he's written with Zack Snyder. He's written Dawn of the Dead. So I'm not saying the guy can't write some. He's been in certain lucrative and successful movies. He's written some stuff. Directing is a different story. Okay? And I think the only movie he directed that he didn't use sexual stuff and wasn't just cringy was Dawn of the Dead. You know what I'm saying? So all the rest, even Scooby-Doo was just... But anyway, what I'm saying is I digress. The point is, if they want to stick it out with James Gunn, guess what first? Still put Zack Snyder Justice League in the cinemas. You know what I mean? Put it in there. You know you want to do it, Abdi and DeLuca. I know you want to do it. I know you want to do it real bad. I don't know what mandate or what those people told you. I know you want to do it. But does David Zaslav let it happen? Does do these people just, do they let it happen? Do they let this director's visions be seen globally on the big screen? That's the question. Now it's had screenings, so why not? Why not? Dune's not there. We're in a strike. Why not? Why not? And if it's successful, why not more? If it's successful, why not more? I don't get it. I don't get it. What's the problem? DC's not doing anything right now. It's flopping. And you don't know when the next movie is going to come out because there's a strike. So what do you got to lose? It's a no-lose situation. No-lose situation. Well, it's a lose situation for James Gunn because I think he will get fired. But that's besides the point. The point is it's a no-lose situation. For them, for the company, you know what I mean? So that's what I got to say. I'm just selling my idea. You guys don't have to buy it. The point I'm making anyway is this. We need to stick together. Right? Just like how Ben Affleck said it in Zack Snyder's Justice League. This is why I love this movie, because it's basically where we are at is the same point. Right? We have to stay together. That's what he said in BVS. We have to. We will. And we have to. You know what I'm saying? We are like the Justice League. That's why I said the superhero is actually real. We're living it. And that's what I love about these movies. They're livable. Not to say they have dope sayings in them as well, which we must go through at some time. We got to go through the movies at some time. We really need to go through these movies, man. Anyway, that's what I got for you guys. I made it 22, 13, 14 minutes. Leroy Kong, it was thanks to you, man. It's good to see you in the building. Again, Leroy Kong is not necessarily, he's definitely not a Snyder cultist. Leroy Kong has watched almost every single DC movie out there except for Blue Beetle, I think. Maybe he has by now. He's a DC fan to his core. He does not like the direction DC is going in. Again, I'm just saying, people, this ain't rocket science. If you're a DC fan, if you're a real DC fan, you're going to love to see Superman versus Darkseid. You're going to love to see these kinds of things happening. But if you're not a real DC fan, you're going to just want what you're getting right now. And I think Leroy is fed up, and he said it himself. He said, listen, man, WB's not listening to us. Screw James Gunn. Leroy said it himself, right? This is a DC fan to his core. Some of the stuff he likes in DC, I don't even like. And that's him saying that. And that's amazing. So that's what I'm saying. If he's saying that, there's another guy named Luke Tremblay on Facebook, and he's also on Twitter. He has, I think, DC, EU, Snyderverse, some kind of thing like that. And he's a big Superman fan, and he really loves Henry Cavill, right? And he can't understand how James Gunn would just fire Henry Cavill like that, because he fired Henry Cavill. I think the series of things James Gunn did turned DC fans against him. And so the only DC fans that really support James Gunn in any kind of way, shape, or form is the people who followed him into DC. You know, Marvel fans and stuff. There's one or two DC fans who don't like Zack Snyder or whatever, and the shills or whatever, paid to play, who are doing that thing. But for the most part, most of DC right now just want Zack Snyder back to do another movie. They want to see David Ayer's cut. They want to see Ben Affleck make a Batman movie. They want to see Ben Affleck's Batman movie. They really do. And the longer this takes, is the more the anticipation, of course, will come. But definitely this universe needs to be restored, because ain't nothing happening in DC. DC is just a laughing stock right now. And you know what's interesting? I was watching a review of Zack Snyder's Justice League with a certain group of people. I forgot what their name is. They're like critics, and they're like people in the industry. And then at a certain point in time, in the video, I couldn't believe they did this. They started just automatically painting their face and looking like clowns. Like they literally they put on the clown nose and everything. I was like, these people really, these people really are clowns. Like they literally made themselves into clowns. And I'm like, wow. It was amazing. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, they definitely embraced that. And I feel like all these bright colors remind me of a circus. Like all the last, I hate doing this because but the last set of DC movies, didn't you guys find it look like a circus? Like everything's bright and shiny colors, and then the people even looking bright and shiny like clowns. Like I feel like they literally are playing the clown game on us. Like they literally are clowning us. That's what probably they're doing because it doesn't make no sense. What are you doing? Like, why are these vibrant colors, like tremendously, like rich colors? The only place you see that is in a circus. Anyways, man, people, I some things are just baffling to me. How could people like they literally have a clown leading them? I'm not joking. Like James Gunn is a comedian, is a clown, right? That's what a modern day clown is, a comedian. They literally took a clown. I'm not joking. Like I'm serious. I'm dead serious here, even though I'm laughing at it. They literally took a clown to lead them. Like the co-head of DC is a clown. Now I know there's Looney Tunes and there's Bugs Bunny, but I don't get this one. I don't get it. I don't get it. Why are they playing the clown role? Like they're literally playing the clown role up in there. I don't get it. I don't get it. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't get it. Anyways, man, I hope you guys have a good night and God bless you all. Again, stay respectful to each other as much as you can. Just speak on aspects of points. If somebody's behaving a little untoward, just block them or move on. But we need to stick together. Restore the Snyderverse, baby. No matter what, restore the Snyderverse. Like I said, this is kind of time dependent and it could take a little bit of organization. I don't think it takes that much. Warner Bros. Will just have to do the distribution. But Zack Snyder Justice League IMAX, that's what I'm pushing. I don't know about the rest of you. I'm gonna catch you guys later. You know I'm a Spartan. You know we're gonna do this to the very end. If I had to pack, I think of all the Spartans that died before they saw Zack Snyder's Justice League. One of them was a really great artist, and I just remembered him in passing. I just forgot his name right now. I'm gonna try and find his name for the next video. Hopefully you guys remind me about that. You guys have a good night, though. It's so nice to see all of you guys, the Snyderverse, and we're still here, and we're doing okay. All right. So I just hope that you guys will stick together. We're not as coordinated, but that's all right. Stick together. Anybody who want to restore the Snyderverse is still an ally of mine, even though you may be of a different fraction and stuff. I may even be able to talk to you, without you trying to attack me. But even so, I see you guys as allies. I try my best not to disrespect people who are earnestly trying to. I try to educate, and if you want to disrespect me after that, I might disrespect you a little bit, but I'll block you probably or something like that. Because I don't want to, I want to keep it moving, and I want, and again, I'm not trying to be no leader or nothing. I'm just trying to see this thing to its completion. And I'm just happy about it, though. I'm happy that you guys, are sticking with it. This is always important. Stick to something to the very end. And restore the Snyderverse, that's what we stuck with, and that's what we're going to continue to do. And no matter what anybody says, it's a worthy thing we're doing. It matters still. I don't know what James Wan is doing because this movie don't look good from what I'm hearing. I'm not going to try and watch it. It's like I told people I wasn't going to watch The Flash, and I did not watch The Flash, right? I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that to myself. Some movies, you can tell from the trailer, just don't watch it. Don't watch it, And we know what these movies are like now, so we don't need to watch that. I'm going to catch you guys later, man. God bless you all. Have a good night. I'm out.